Furious world leaders are joining forces and they are making their move to put the screws into Donald Trump and checkmate him. Last night, Prime Minister Carney of Canada announcing that Canada was withdrawing from trade negotiations with the United States as Donald Trump's regime tried to do a last-minute bullying tactic against Canada as the parties were moving closer to a deal. Prime Minister Carney told his trade negotiators in the United States, "Get out of there. Let's get back to Ottawa. We don't need the United States. If they're going to come after us, we will impose retaliatory tariffs against the United States. We are not scared of the United States anymore. Canada has diversified its relationship. Canada will not be bullied and have its sovereignty attacked by the United States." That's how the day ended yesterday. How did the day begin? With China's foreign ministry spokesperson on behalf of Wang Yi saying that China categorically rejects the Trump regime's attempt to impose economic D-Day against Iran, which requires China's cooperation, one of Iran's biggest, if not the biggest trading partner of Iran, the biggest trading partner of Iran. China's foreign ministry spokesperson on behalf of Wang Yi, the foreign minister, put out the following statement. China opposes unilateral sanctions that lack a basis in international law and UN Security Council mandate. Military force and pressure tactics will only lead to escalation that serves no one's interest. We call on parties to act responsibly and solve disputes through dialogue and negotiations. This as Treasury Secretary Bessent, who's out there with different schemes every day, urging China, please, Wang Yi, Foreign Minister of China, please, Xi Jinping, can you please back our most crushing sanctions of your ally, Iran? China's like, they're our ally. I understand that for the United States, you don't have allies anymore. You attack Canada, you attack NATO. Donald Trump putters around pretending he's friends with Kim Jong-un, an ally of China, while Kim Jong-un's sister, a senior leader in the North Korean government, says, "We find Donald Trump's behavior, quote, uninteresting. We're not having communications with him. We don't care that Donald Trump has ordered that joint military exercises with South Korea be reduced. We don't really want to talk to you. We have no meetings planned." But China's like, yeah, we value our allies. Iran is our ally, so no, we're not going to work with you to impose economic D-Day on our ally, you idiot. Just take a look at this Wall Street Journal article. This is Murdoch's paper. Is America still capable of enforcing the world order? And it asks an important question. It said, the Allies once wondered, would America really be there with them, but always assumed the answer is yes. Now our allies or former allies say, we know the answer is no. The U.S. won't be there, but also the U.S. can't be there because the U.S. doesn't know how to fight wars under the Trump regime. The U.S. doesn't have a security umbrella. The U.S. has run out of weapons in the hands of an idiot, malignant, narcissistic, wannabe authoritarian who would love to be friends with Kim Jong-un, who doesn't want anything to do with him. The United States has run out of weapons. The United States has run out of Patriot interceptors, THAAD interceptors, ATACMS and HIMARS, the Navy destroyer anti-ballistics, Tomahawks we're running low on as well. And the Trump regime just keeps the hits. The hits keep on coming for the Trump regime. Donald Trump wants to completely redesign the Ford class of aircraft carriers, doesn't like the way it looks, doesn't like the electromagnetic takeoff propulsion systems for aircrafts. Donald Trump wants those steam catapults. He loves his steam catapults. In fact, Donald Trump doesn't like stealth. He doesn't like aircraft carriers. He likes battleships, the way they look circa 1920 between 1940. Let's do Trump-class battleships, nuclear battleships that cost $500 billion. And while we're at it, Trump regime, why don't you fire all the top generals like the Army Chief of Staff, Randy George, or General Donahue, who's a beloved commander commander in the United States military. And why don't you replace him with Pete Hegseth sycophants who think we need to go back to the basics and get rid of cutting-edge drone research and drone exercises to focus on the warrior ethos of World War II, while Pete Hegseth's wife follows him around, I guess, to make sure he's not drinking or to make sure that he does his testosterone injections the right way. And while this despicable Trump regime refuses to promote Black people and women who are incredible leaders in our great military, but instead promote unqualified people if they have cool nicknames like Raisin Cane, who need to get waivers to become the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, while getting rid of our top people. Our allies are looking at us like, man, these people in the United States, they are a bunch of losers under Donald Trump. How weird, and what losers are they in the Trump regime. Oh, and by the way, they've got senators who don't even know where Taiwan is, who happen to be the sister of Lindsey Graham. Bizarre behavior. So what else is going on in the world, right? You had Canada, midnight last night or into this morning. Earlier yesterday, you had China, Wang Yi, saying, by the way, Wang Yi, China's foreign minister, you know this, right, met with South Korea's president and foreign minister over the past 24, 48 hours, as South Korea is saying, all right, you want to attack us, United States, in favor of North Korea, who doesn't want anything to do with you, despite the fact that South Korea's military budget is 1.5 times North Korea's entire GDP. We'll get closer with China. By the way, what do you think Prime Minister Carney of Canada is going to do? He's going to say, we'll get closer to China. That's what he's already doing, bringing some EVs in there. And also, you have Prime Minister Carney working on that Trans-Pacific partnership. He's got the Transatlantic partnership with Europe. He's bringing them together while Donald Trump further isolates the United States. You wonder why. How did Donald Trump bankrupt casino after casino, company after company, before he was ever involved in politics? He was a bankrupter, never a builder. He was always a lifelong fraud, a lifelong loser. This is how. The guy knows, boom, like a dart to the bullseye, that's him to being a loser. I'm not sure if that's a great metaphor, but roll with it. Syria's foreign minister, Assad al-Shabani, said that Syria is now considering joining the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement between Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. I may sound like a broken record when I talk about the Mecca Agreement or the Mecca Pact between Turkey, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia, but it's a damn big deal. Turkey and Saudi Arabia, competitors, had lots of conflict for a long period of time. So them coming together with Pakistan, nuclear power, regional powers, the wealth of Saudi Arabia, all coming together. Egypt's likely going to join. Syria's saying, okay, why would we not join? Turkey is saying, well, come on in, Syria. You know, we may all have had our differences, but let's build something right now because we need to do something counter to what was going on with the Abraham Accords.
You know that feeling when something small just makes your day better? That's what Olipop is all about. Olipop is the feel-good soda, combining the classic soda taste you love with high fiber and functional ingredients that support digestive health. It has less sugar than traditional soda and is made with real ingredients and a thoughtful formulation. And Olipop's 6-gram fiber line now has a refreshed look, and I got the new cans right here. It's the same flavorful soda with the same digestive health support, just in a new can that shows off the feel-good soda inside. Because when you feel good on the inside, you live good on the outside. Now you can get a free can of Olipop. Buy any 2 single cans of Olipop in store in any flavor at any retailer, and they will pay you back for one. Clip your coupons at drinkolipop.com/Meidas. Find Olipop in the soda aisle or with the chilled beverages at thousands of retailers nationwide, including Target and Walmart. Again, that's drinkolipop.com/Meidas. MEIDAS.
And the United Arab Emirates, remember in Trump's first term, was kind of pushed to join the Abraham Accords with Israel. That was Kushner's thing. And everybody's saying, well, look, you got Netanyahu, a war criminal, genocide in Gaza, slaughtering people in Lebanon. The other day, you had Netanyahu's regime blow up an airport in Syria that was near Turkey because Netanyahu's regime says we can't allow Syria to rebuild. That becomes a threat to us. We've had people in the Netanyahu regime, I've been sharing this with you, saying, we believe that Syria will be a Gaza on steroids, is what people in the Netanyahu regime are saying. In Syria, they're saying, al-Shara, and, the president over there is like, we're just trying to build, let us build our freaking country in peace. Why do you keep blowing us up? What the hell are you doing? And so Syria's like, okay, the U.S. security umbrella is broken. China's going to be moving in, and its security umbrella will be the kind of guarantor of the area, if you will. Pakistan is very closely allied with China. You know that. I mean, think about the war between India and Pakistan. Pakistan was using lots of the Chinese weapons, and very effectively also. China was testing out its weapons there. China was also been studying Iran's war tactics. They've also been studying Russia's war tactics because China has a plan. They have certain alliances. They have economic alliances in the BRICS bloc. They've got military alliances and other alliances with Iran, North Korea, and Russia. They know what they're doing. They're studying this while Donald Trump is out there talking about Trump-class battleships right now. And so for the Middle East nations, it's like we got to have our Arab nation alliance. It's the Mecca Pact right there. And so I expect the Mecca Pact to grow. I believe Syria will probably become a member. And then we're going to see, well, what's Netanyahu's regime going to do when that happens? Is there going to be an all-out regional war? It was very close the other day, by the way, when Israel struck the Syrian airport. There could have been Turkish forces there, and that could have led to a war. There's lots of people who are saying, was Netanyahu trying to bait Turkey before the elections as kind of a Netanyahu ploy? We're trying to follow all of this. On the MeidasTouch Network, we're really diving into international affairs issues. And it's important that we do because unlike Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, who goes, most people in the United States don't know what Taiwan is. That's false. We do know where Taiwan is, okay? But we have to understand that these international events very much impact the domestic issues. The reason why prices are so high is because Donald Trump launched trade wars against the world, and he launched a catastrophic war against Iran. And when you blow things up, both economically and in a war, you have less of things. Basic supply and demand. I could, of course, go into more detail, but when you blow stuff up, there's less of it. When there's less of it, it's more expensive. When there's more chaos, things are more expensive. When there's less predictability, things are more expensive. That's the nature of things. And that's a major issue that we need to be focused on and that we need to be following. One of the things that Syria said as well, they're open with rekindling potential alliances with Iran, despite the fact that they've had a long history, of course, of conflict. So the idea that Syria is even open to a relationship with Iran, and Syria's foreign minister is saying that, that's something to behold. While North Korea also is totally rejecting any idea of meeting with Donald Trump or any of the weird memes that Donald Trump is posting. North Korea is mocking. I mean, just think about it. You're North Korea now. Used to have in the United States, like South Park mock you, and everybody would mock Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-un's father and everything, right? And now Donald Trump behaves weirder than Kim Jong-un's family ever behaved by far. Compared to Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un seems like a relatively, I won't get too carried away with this, but so for them in North Korea, this is like payback. They're seeing the United States led by like a literal psychotic, lunatic, malignant narcissist, and they're like, okay, we're going to focus on our own thing here. We're not going to dignify what you think. North Korea is out there saying, we're not going to dignify what you're even saying. That's where the United States has come. But what else is North Korea doing? North Korea just deployed 8,500 new troops to Russia, including 400 drone operators. According to Ukrainian intelligence, I think it's actually more than that. The remaining personnel include 1,000 engineers. Approximately 25,000 North Koreans have rotated through Russia since October 2024. And one of the things we've seen in the past 48 hours, a lot of those ballistics and cruise missiles used by Russia striking Ukraine and Kyiv were North Korean missiles. We need to pay attention to that. In Iran, MB Ghalibaf, main parliament leader, main civilian leader, just took a trip to Iraq, met with al-Zaidi. announced a major deal. Iraq and Iran entered into a deal. So as the United States can't do a deal with Canada, Iran and Iraq just did a deal. Not only that, you have al-Zaidi, Iraq's prime minister, telling MB Ghalibaf, this is your second home. Iran and Iraq, we are one and the same people, and we see eye to eye on issues. That's coming from Iraq's prime minister. Remember the guy who showed up at the White House and Donald Trump was talking about like how handsome he was and how good looking he was, and Trump was like being all like weird with the guy, and it was a strange thing to see. But now there's an MOU, an actual agreement between Iran and Iraq that will talk about broadening their relationship out as well. And then there were some unexpected things as well too. I mean, obviously we know that all of the Arab nations are condemning the genocide, and and most nations throughout the world, other than the Trump regime, are condemning the genocide in Gaza, the slaughter and horrific atrocities being committed by Netanyahu in Lebanon and elsewhere. So we know that. But we had a joint statement that came from all of these Arab nations, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, and Egypt together in a joint statement. A massive geopolitical shift we were observing. The UAE just made a stunning U-turn, joining Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia in a blistering joint statement condemning Israel. They are demanding an immediate withdrawal to the 1967 borders and a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem. The Abraham Accords, pretty much bye-bye at this point right now. And I think it is also important to reflect on, again, the Jared Kushner and Trump's thing was Abraham Accords, Abraham Accords, Abraham Accords. And now we're seeing everybody, move away from, all these Arab nations move away from it. And this happens at the same time where, by the way, in the past, we know they've been saying it for a while, but Israel's been, showing their maps about how they want to have all these additional settlements in the West Bank and we've been hearing the statements, Netanyahu, Israel Katz, Smotrich, Ben Gvir, all the people in the Netanyahu regime saying, we will never have a Palestinian state. We will never, ever cede any Palestinian state at all. And so I think it's pushing the Mecca Pact. It's pushing Arab nations to move away from the ones that did. It was Bahrain, it was UAE, in the Abraham Accords, but saying, take a look at this opening paragraph from Mark Lynch in Foreign Affairs. The American Middle East is finished. The regional order that has prevailed, it's done. It's a casualty of the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. The American and Israeli failure to dislodge the regime in Tehran has proved the bankruptcy of decades of sanctions and violence right there. And that's where we're at right now. By the way, you want to talk about how broken the United States' ability to interact with any nation is at all? Just think about this. So the investigation in the UK into Peter Mandelson for his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein is on the verge of collapsing because U.S. authorities will not provide any of the unredacted Epstein files to the UK police. The U.S. is covering up Epstein files and not helping, not just here, but even where foreign countries want to prosecute or potentially investigate people. The U.S. is so involved in covering up pedophilia and child sex trafficking because Donald Trump has ordered them to do that we're not even allowing or helping other countries to investigate whatever the potential allegations are against anybody in their countries, whoever that may be. That's what the United States has become right now. I'll leave you with that right there. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you so much for watching.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.